Hey everybody, what is up? This is Kirsten here, and this is Balanced Vibes Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And every time when I say that, I'm really grateful that you have taken some time out of your day to listen to my podcast or watch this on YouTube. Every time I say that, it means a lot to me. It really does, because I know that you could be doing a lot of other things with your time as well. So I'm really very happy that you have chosen to listen to my podcast or watch it on YouTube. So thank you again for that. And by the way, if you have found any of these episodes, even just one of them, helpful, useful for you, then I would really appreciate if you could leave a review on iTunes or another podcast app, and then also share this with some other friends or family members that might benefit from this podcast. So this would be really, really great. It's something that you can do. It doesn't cost you anything other than maybe 1 minute out of your day. So thank you again for that already. So today we're talking about how to eat healthy, but not spend a ton of money on it. And I think there's this belief out there that if you want to eat healthy, then you have to spend a lot of money, which I don't think is necessarily true. But of course, there are always ways to cut down your costs a little bit and spend a little bit less on grocery store if you just make better choices and if you shop in places that are just a little bit more affordable. And I think this topic is kind of important right now and probably interesting for many of us because we know what's going on right now in the economy. Prices are going up probably everywhere, and grocery shopping is no different. So today I'm going to share with you 10 foods that I buy often, that are healthy foods, and that are relatively affordable because, like I said, I don't think anybody feels like, oh, I want to spend more on groceries. So things that are affordable, things that are nutritionally dense, have high nutritional value, are real foods, are really filling, and really work well with your goals. So I'm going to give you 10 foods, and then after that, I will share some additional tips on how you can save money on your groceries. Okay, so let's get started with this food list that I have for you. And actually, before that, I want to say it's important that you find a store that is a little bit more affordable. So I personally go to Costco a lot. And it's not a problem that everything, comes in such big bags and, you have to buy 24 eggs at once and whatever. Of course, I wouldn't buy all of the things from there, all the things that I need. I don't buy garlic because you only need like so much garlic in your cooking, at least I do, or, things that I just never use or I don't use in such big quantities. But a lot of the foods that I'm going to talk about today, I buy them at Costco because they just save so much money. And if you are not a member there, then it's definitely worth it. And if you live somewhere else where you don't have Costco, I'm sure there's another similar grocery store where you can go and buy things a little bit cheaper. And of course, ideally, I would like to, buy everything from the farmer and buy everything local and go to farmer's market and get my vegetables and everything from there. But just when you want to save a little bit of money, then this is not always an option. I do support as much as you can, but not always, definitely not always. And the other thing, of course, in super ideal world, I would grow my own vegetables and fruits myself and maybe get my, meat and milk from my neighbor. That would be great in an ideal world. And hopefully one day this will be the reality. But until then, I have to figure out where to shop, what kind of stores to go to get things at a reasonable price. So yeah, just to say this one more time, I go to Costco a lot. So if you are here in the States, then I think it's definitely worth it. And sometimes people tell me that, but we have such a small family. It's only like family of 3. It doesn't, it's not reasonable. And I think it's totally reasonable because I have a family of 2. It's just me and my husband and nobody else. And we still go there and buy most of our things there. And of course, there are some things that I buy, at a smaller grocery store as well. Like I said, you need a couple of garlic or, whatever, like a small thing it is that you need. Then I go to a regular small grocery store, but so many things that you can buy from Costco. You can batch cook, you can make a lot of it ahead of time. You can also freeze a lot of the things so you don't have to cook all the time every day, like a new fresh meal again. So I use a lot of these things, and this is how you use up everything that you buy. And I will tell you, I hardly ever have anything going bad in my fridge. It's just not a thing, and I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like the environment where I grew up in. I grew up in Estonia, which was when I was little a communist country, right? It's part of the Soviet Union. We didn't just have stuff everywhere. It wasn't like this, I'm sure, in the United States where you just buy everything and anything whenever you wanted. It was not the case for us. So we really used up everything that we had. And nothing ever went bad in the fridge. You just finish it up. And, also same thing with, for example, different cuts of meat and organ meats. We ate all of these things so that nothing goes to waste. So this is just, I think, the mentality that I've gotten. It's not like this, how would I say, like poverty mindset necessarily, but it is the mindset of like, why would I let things go bad if I already have it, if I have already paid for it? Why would I not eat it? It feels like waste. It is a waste to let things go bad. So this is kind of like my mindset that I've thought about it sometimes. Like, is it because how I grew up? And yeah, probably it is, but it's not a bad thing. I think it's great because I personally feel bad about throwing stuff away. There's rarely the case that I have to do that. All right, should we move on to the food list that I promised you? And like I said, there are 10 foods on this list that are healthy, that are affordable, and that would be great for you if you want to eat healthy and maybe even track your macros and want to hit your numbers and feel good. All right, the first food on that list is eggs. Eggs, of course, extremely nutrient dense. And I think we all have gotten over this story that egg yolks are bad for you and will give you a heart attack, because this is definitely not true. There are so many vitamins and minerals that you can get in eggs. There's choline, which, by the way, is really important for the brain. There's many vitamins that are necessary for us. And I don't like the idea of only eating egg whites. I definitely want you to eat egg yolks too, because this is where the nutritional value really is. And I feel like in the macro world, everybody always talks about egg whites. And yes, I get it. It's protein, but I always say macronutrients is one thing, important thing, but also micronutrients. This is also important. So whole eggs, really great. And you can definitely get them at a really good price. So when talk about Costco, there's organic eggs that we buy, 24 of them, and they're only $8. So we always buy, by the way, 2 of those. And like I said, we're just a family of 2. And we never let them go bad. I mean, if you eat 2 eggs a day, both people eat 2 eggs a day, then you're going to use them up. And maybe you bake a little bit, and maybe you do something else. Speaking of eggs, by the way, I just cannot not tell you about a hack that I just recently discovered, and that is boiling eggs in the Instant Pot. Okay, here's the story. And actually, that wasn't part of my podcast. It's not on my notes today, but I just have to tell you. So I love hard-boiled eggs, and I have them often, and I always struggle to peel them. So I boil them and I put them in a really ice cold water with some ice cubes, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. When it doesn't, then I'm peeling them and half of the egg whites just come off, and it's a mess and it's ugly, it's terrible. But then I was told about the hack. Use your Instant Pot for your hard-boiled eggs. And I had always thought, why would I use Instant Pot for that? This is silly when I could just boil my eggs on the stove top. And if you follow me, you probably know how much I love my Instant Pot. I make all my rice, potatoes, all kinds of meats, everything in Instant Pot. But the idea of cooking my eggs in there was like, no, this is just stupid. It's not worth it. Why would I do this? But somebody told me that you should, because the peeling is so much easier. And I was like, oh, all right, I'm going to give it a try. And it works, you guys. It really works. I could literally boil these eggs with my one hand if I wanted to. That's how easy it is. So how you do this is that you put your eggs in the Instant Pot. You use the little trivet there. So I can put 6 eggs in there. And then, of course, water inside the pot. I use about half a cup. And then you're going to cook it for 4 minutes. And then a natural release for 5 minutes, and the rest manual release. And then you put these eggs in the ice cold water together with some ice cubes. And oh my goodness, how easy it is to peel them. I'm really excited about it. And I've been definitely eating more boiled eggs recently after I found out about this hack. So if you haven't tried this yet, and if you have Instant Pot, which you should have anyway, by the way, because it's just, it's so awesome, then go ahead and try making your hard-boiled eggs in there, and you're not going to regret it. All right, that was a long story about eggs. Should we move on to the next item on my list? And this is ground beef. Again, very nutrient dense. Red meat is, again, one of the most nutrient dense foods on the planet. I think only beef liver is probably higher than that. So you need that. It is healthy. Animal fats are not bad for you. You actually do need them. And those two you can get at a really reasonable price. And so many different grocery stores, but again, I buy mine from Costco. You can get 4 pounds for $20 only, which is not that much. And how do you cook it? There are so many ways to use ground beef, but I always look for ways that are super simple, very easy, minimal time. This is my thing. I don't make usually like fancy elaborate meals, so I just cook the ground beef up in a pan, and then I also cook like some rice in my instant pot usually, and some vegetables, and then I just have a meal like this. So it doesn't have to be anything fancy. You of course can make a meatloaf, and you can make all kinds of things with ground beef, but this is the simplest, the easiest way to eat ground beef. Just cook it up in a skillet, maybe add some garlic and onion, and it's wonderful. Hot sauce, of course, as well too. All right, the next thing I have on this list is chicken thighs. Again, really cheap, and chicken is of course high protein food, really good, but chicken breast is so much drier than chicken thighs, and it's also so much more expensive. So if you want to save some money, then why not to buy chicken thighs? Why not to buy some drumsticks? So these two are actually so much cheaper than chicken breasts, and I think also tastier. So you don't have to think only like I have to eat the fat-free everything, so only chicken breast is allowed. No, it's not. You can definitely have the thighs, you can have the drumsticks, both of which I of course cook in my instant pot. So you can take the skin off if you feel like this is too much fat for you, and cook it this way. But if you buy again from Costco or somewhere similar, like 3-4 pounds, it is really cheap. And when you pay attention to prices and you compare them, you see that the drumsticks and chicken thighs are way cheaper than the chicken breast. Okay, the next food on my list here is pork shoulder or pork butt. Okay, so this is a question that I don't know the answer to. Why is the shoulder and butt the same thing? These are kind of far from each other. So I've always wondered that, but the same cut of meat is called either the pork shoulder or pork butt. I have no idea why this is the case, but this is also really affordable. So just last time I checked, I had bought pork butt or shoulder, and it was 5 pounds, and I think it was only $17 or something like that. So nothing crazy at all. And my favorite recipe to make with pork shoulder or pork butt is Nom Nom Paleo's pork carnitas. Super, super simple. It only requires some pork, some oranges, and some garlic and onion. It's so simple and it's so tasty. And I cooked up all of the 5 pounds that I had. And I'm telling you that there's two of us, right? And we have lunches and dinners for how many days now? And if there's anything, if we get sick of it, like eating it, which we don't usually, but if we did, or if we were to get like tired of it, then I would just freeze it, and then I could eat it again in a week or in 2 weeks. All right, moving on to the next thing, and this is canned fish. And I know not everybody likes it, but I think it is a great option. It is also a high protein food and pretty affordable too. So you could buy canned tuna, you could buy canned sardines. And again, with sardines, I know what you might say. A lot of people don't like them. Okay, whatever. But this is an option. I personally like them both and buy them both. Very easy and very high protein foods. One super quick recipe that you could make with canned tuna is to just mix it with a little bit of Greek yogurt and some hot sauce and some seasoning and make it like a tuna salad. And you can put it in a salad or you can put it on a piece of toast. And this is so high in protein and it's very low in fat. If you tend to go over your fats a lot, then make this. And this is, you get from this thing alone, you get like 40 grams of protein, which I know it's so hard for too many people to do. Like, how am I going to get 40 grams of protein? That's so much food. But you have, one packet of one of these like pouches of tuna and a little bit of Greek yogurt, and you get there. It's really easy. All right, so we talked a lot about high protein foods, but there are, of course, other foods too. For example, rice. Rice is also very affordable. You can get a really big bag, like 50 pounds for about $40, and it lasts forever. It lasts a really long time. And we eat a lot of rice here in our house. I don't know how often we have to buy a new one, but it's not very often at all. So rice is another one. It is high carbohydrate food, of course. And I just want to make sure that you know that there's nothing wrong in carbohydrates. You can eat them. Rice is fine. It does not have to be brown rice. If you like brown rice, eat brown rice. If you like white rice, eat white rice, right? It doesn't make such a big difference. I think sometimes we tend to go a little crazy about like, oh, should it be brown? I heard that it's a little bit better. Or somebody told me that, I'm not I cannot eat regular potatoes, white or yellow potatoes. It has to be sweet potato. I'm like, why? But why? Because these differences are so small. And a lot of times we just pay too much attention on minor details instead of looking at the big picture. Am I getting a carbohydrate, right? Am I getting some rice or some potatoes? Does it really matter if it's white rice, brown rice, yellow potato, sweet potato? It's not that big of a deal. You have preference, follow your preference, but don't think that it has to be one or the other, or else you're not going to do it right. So that was about rice. Then the next thing, actually just said that, is potatoes too. So you can buy a big bag of potatoes at a really affordable price. Potatoes are really great. Nutrient dense food as well, starchy carbohydrates, and of course have a lot of potassium, which is something that a lot of people are not getting enough of. Potassium is not very easy to come by, so you can get potassium from potatoes. And I like potatoes. You can make potatoes in so many different ways. And again, I'm using Instant Pot, and sometimes after I cook it in my Instant Pot, then I also use the broil function of my oven and just give them a nice little crispy flavor too after putting them in the oven. The next thing that you can buy, and is relatively affordable, is of course oats. So you can again buy a big bag of oats that lasts you for a very long time, and it doesn't cost you much at all. Then the next thing on this list is vegetables and fruits. Of course, we need that. We need that for fiber, and vegetables and fruit are great for our blood sugar too. But you don't have to buy like anything fancy or anything like super special, or you don't, in my opinion, even have to think like, okay, am I getting like 30 different types every single week? I've heard that sometimes, like, oh, you have to eat a lot of variety and make sure that you have 30 different types every week. And to me, this is not doable personally. And I don't think this is so important. So as long as you have something, as long as you are eating your vegetables and fruits, you're good, but doesn't have to be 30 different kinds. And how to save money here? Just buy whatever is in season. That's usually cheaper too, right? And just, see, look at the prices. What is more affordable, and just buy that thing. And of course, your preference matters. Do you like this thing? Do you not like this thing? You have to like the thing that you are eating. But, you don't have to buy like more expensive stuff if you just can't do it right now. Just buy whatever is on sale or whatever is in season. And then lastly, dried beans. I have also that on my list, also relatively inexpensive. You can buy a big bag, like 25-pound bag for about $20. And also this bag lasts you forever. So beans, of course, are great for both carbohydrates and proteins. And they taste good, and they go well with so many different foods. So I hope this list helped you. So there's eggs, ground beef, chicken thighs or chicken drumsticks, pork shoulder, canned fish, rice, potatoes, oats, seasonable vegetables and fruits, or whatever is cheaper at the store, and then dried beans. All right, so next I want to give you some ideas how you can cut your expenses down a little bit, and some things that I have seen people are doing, like some habits which we have to change if we want to reduce our expenses. So the first one that I see is sometimes people buy so much variety of the same thing. So let me give you an example: cheese, right? So you may have in the fridge the block cheese, right? You may have grated cheese. You may have sliced cheese for sandwiches. You may have those little cheese sticks for snacking. And why are you buying so much? So if you have so much stuff, there's a higher chance that it just goes bad. So you don't need that much. How about if you want to spend some money, you just buy that one block? You can use this for everything. You can slice it to put it in your sandwiches. You can grate it to put it on your homemade pizza or whatever you want to put it on. And you can use it as snacking. You just cut a little bit thicker slices, and that's how you do it. So why do you have to buy so many different kinds? A similar example would be, for example, with nut butters. I know some people have, almond and peanut and cashew butter and all these kinds of butters, or nut butters. But do you need them all? I mean, if you don't have a problem, you don't have to save money, then cool, whatever. It's okay. Buy as much as you want. But if this is a problem, or if this is like a consideration, then why do you have to buy so many different kinds? Buy just one and finish this up before you buy another one. And then drinks too. I find that sometimes people buy so many different drinks, like juices and and more like whatever natural sodas and like different types of sparkling water and all that. And then again, do you need that much variety, or can you just have one of these things and be happy, be okay with that and use that up before you buy the next thing? Because the more of the stuff you have like this, the higher the chance that it goes bad. And you also probably buy a new thing before this one is used up if you have this habit. So think about if there are things where you don't actually need like all this variety and you could be okay with just one or two options. All right. The next tip for saving money is to actually eat your vegetables and fruits and don't let them go bad. And for that, you can wash the fruit and the vegetable that you buy, wash it right after you buy it and cut it up and put it in a container so that it's ready to go. And this tip is for those of you who tend to let things go bad. If this doesn't happen to you, you don't have to like pre-wash and, cut everything already like right after you buy it. You probably use it anyway. But if you feel like this tends to happen a lot, oh my God, it went bad again. The carrots went bad again because nobody ate them. And oh my God, there's the apples in the back of the fridge that have been sitting there for 3 months. If this is what happens to you, just like cut them up, wash them, put them somewhere where you can find them and see them easier. And then you're more likely to eat them as well. All right. Then the next thing is to just use up the food, right? And get creative with your recipes. And recipes, actually, I personally don't even do much recipes at all in like a usual sense of like, following a recipe and buying all the ingredients. I put together the stuff based on what I have in the fridge. So before I told you about the ground beef, so you can cook that up. And then you see, okay, I have some zucchini here. I have some onions here. Maybe I have some leftover, another type of vegetable. And then I'm just going to put them together in one pan. And then I'm just going to heat it up and eat it. So it doesn't always have to be like elaborate meal with so many tiny little things. And by the way, if you have those tiny little ingredients that you have to buy like one of each, have like one beet and then there's like one garlic and there's one, I don't know, lime or whatever the thing is, then you have to go to the store and get like those single items. And again, if you want to do this and if you're fine with this and you have the time and you have the desire to cook and you don't have to think about, how much I'm going to spend, everything's fine, by all means do it. And if you want to, but I'm telling you that it's going to save you some time and some money if you just keep your recipes really simple and put them together based on things just that you already have in the fridge. And just think, okay, do I have my protein here? This is always number one. Do I have my carbohydrates here? Do I get my fiber? And then if the protein is really low fat protein, then how can I add a little bit of fat? And this is how you put together a meal for you. The next recommendation that I have for you is to eat leftovers. Okay, you don't have to cook a new meal every single day. And actually, this is interesting. Yesterday, I did a poll on my Instagram and asked people, do you batch cook so that you have food ready for 2-3 meals, or do you cook a fresh new meal every single day? And more than 50% of people said that they cook a new thing every single day. And again, if you like it, it's, like cooking and you like spending time in the kitchen, then do it. That's totally fine. But if you're telling me that you don't have the time, you don't have the desire, you don't even mind eating leftovers, then why don't you cook more and cook like a bunch of stuff at once? And this is where it comes in the, buying like a big chunk of meat or like I said, I bought like 5 pounds of pork shoulder. And you cook that up in the Instant Pot or in the oven, whatever you want to use, and then you just repeat. You eat leftovers. You don't have to cook every single day. Again, it's going to save you a lot of time. It's also probably going to save you money. And then the last tip that I have for you, this is actually not mine. It's from my friend and previous mentor, Danny J. And she had a program called Find the Money Project. And she basically helped people to see how much money they actually have. They have money everywhere in their house. They just don't know. They are not aware of it, and they don't pay attention. So she has some really good money saving tips in this program too. And one of them was, don't buy more food until you have finished up already what you have in the cabinet and fridge. And she said people were able to avoid going to the grocery store for like a couple of weeks after they learned that, because they're like, okay, there it is. Like I do have like 2 cans of, I don't know, kidney beans in the pantry that I haven't used, still have to use up, or I have those couple of cans of tuna fish, or I actually do still have some eggs, and oh, I just found this thing in my freezer. I found, the ground beef in my freezer. And then when you start looking around and using the things up that you already have, then you don't have to go to a grocery store every single day. You may not even have to go for a couple of weeks. So I think this is a really great tip too. If you are thinking about saving some money, this is a thing for you. And then you just want to cut the cost back a little bit. All right, this is all. I hope these were helpful tips for you. I really hope so, because I think so many people are thinking about these things right now. How can I reduce my grocery costs right now? And I think if you follow this advice that I have in this episode, then you should definitely be able to save some money without compromising your health, because all these things that I mentioned are still healthy, and you will stay on track with your health goals and your macro goals and your physique goals if you have those as well. Okay, thank you so much for listening today. Let me know if this episode was helpful for you. I really like to hear from you. So if you ever have any comments, please leave them on YouTube, and you can, of course, always get in touch on Instagram. All right, thank you so much, and have a really good rest of your day.